I know that we just got the 2025 schedule a couple of weeks ago, but to me, I think it's never too early to look forward and look to improve. And today, I want to look at the schedule changes NASCAR can make that really do need to happen. 4 of which that NASCAR can do with dates, and one of which is really interesting. That's something that the networks can do. And I think fans will really like that. So let's just jump on right into it. Starting off, we'll have the Roval being changed to the Oval. Listen, I liked the Roval when it came out. I was actually one of the people who was really a big fan of this move before the awesome finish for it. And it hurts me to say this because, again, I really liked it when it came out, but I think that this race has passed its prime. I do like a lot of the drama that comes from it, and I think if this car raced better at road courses, we wouldn't have as much of an issue, but unfortunately, we don't live in that reality. The next-gen car isn't that great at road courses, and it is really, really great at mile-and-a-half ovals. The Charlotte Oval, in my opinion, is a top 3 track with the next-gen car. Even this past year's Coke 600, which got rained out and was shortened, while it didn't have the action that the last 2 years did have, it was still, I would say, one of the top races of the year, at least in the top half. Fans also don't watch road courses as much as ovals based on the TV numbers. You can look at comparable weekends with comparable dates, and ovals will win probably 10 to 15% better of an audience than that of a road course. And the thing is, for me, you can always go back to the Roval if the oval doesn't work out or if Rovals have the iron be hot for them once again. Secondly, I think we need a race in Canada badly. This has been a push by NASCAR for a long time in the Cup Series. You look at the fact that they had races in the lower series at Montreal and Canadian Tire, and you look at the fact that at one point, for about 15 years, they pushed to have their own oval racetrack built in the Canadian Motor Speedway that never happened. This is a die-hard fan base. It might not be as big as America, obviously, because of where NASCAR's from, but still, there are a lot of Canadian fans. You see it on social media, you see it at the track, especially at tracks closer to the border, like Michigan, for instance. And I've seen it in my analytics before, where there is a large portion of people that watch my stuff who are Canadian. Shout out to all y'all. Now, third is that they need a long-term solution for the Chicago market. Recently this week, it was shown that the Chicago street race has been a huge success year over year. Year 2 somehow, in every way except for a little bit with TV viewership, managed to exceed year 1. The city seems happy for year 3 coming along. Fans seem pretty happy with it as well. And overall, it's been one of NASCAR's best success stories of the last 15 years. But they need to make a decision. This next year is the last year currently of the contract unless Chicago chooses to extend, and even then, you only have maybe a year or 2 after it. You need more than that. People need to know whether or not A, it's going to leave, or B, it's going to stay and maybe, like some people say, become a new crown jewel, possibly. I think you need this. One of 2 options. 1, stay longer in the street. Sign a long-term 5 to 8 year deal to stay in Chicago. You'll have a stable, popular event that people in the city and people outside alike really like. You'll have great outreach to a new fan base and a new area. And you'll stay ahead of F1, who has already tried to obtain the rights to naming a Chicago Grand Prix, possibly. And that's something that you need to keep ahead of when it comes to competition. F1 is going to be the biggest threat to NASCAR in the motorsports world over this current TV deal. And if you can ensure a marquee race for one of your partners like TNT will get, well, that's something that will really help push viewership over time. The other option, go back to Chicagoland Speedway. NASCAR has said, and many in NASCAR have said, that they do not want to leave the Chicago market, and Chicagoland Speedway is right there. The track has been kept in very good condition. They've had racing events in the last year there, and on top of that, next-gen racing is awesome at these tracks. Chicagoland is a worn-down sister track of Kansas, the best track, in my opinion, in all of NASCAR for the next gen. So we know that that is something that can be done. We know from Chicago and the music festival of all of that, new ways to bring people in. Same with Iowa. Renovate the track, make it a top-tier facility, and just keep putting money and effort into it if you can't stay in the city. Now, as for the last date change, you need a new finale. I'm sorry, Phoenix ain't it. I get that people show up in droves to that track and sell out the finale every single year, but the racing and the TV product is not there for NASCAR. Ratings have been down every single year that Phoenix has hosted this event, and at best they break even. The racing is subpar, and this car is not good at shorter ovals. You need to have something that will keep people compelled for the entire event. And there's a couple of different options maybe of either better markets, better racing, or a mix of both. Homestead is the obvious choice. It's a great market near Miami. It will bite into even more the F1 stronghold they have with their race. And the city of Homestead wants it. The fans want it. And it seems like the drivers want it. It has great racing, and it really tests who would win the championship. We saw it in action from 2014 to 2019 under this kind of system. Now, another one that I like is Kansas. Kansas might not be the biggest market with Kansas City, and the weather is very hit or miss at the start of November, end of October. Trust me, I've been there at that time. It can be up in the 80s, it can be down in the 30s. But I think that with the best racing in NASCAR, it would offer a compelling show. Plus, with the Kansas City Chiefs the way they are, Kansas City is kind of title town right now. And then there's the Auto Club track, and I'll leave a huge question mark on this. The short track decision needs to be decided on ASAP. We need to know what the hell is going on and whether or not they'll race there. If they do, NASCAR can stay on the West Coast like they want to do for their finale, and they can have a big market for their finale too. You kind of hit two birds with one stone. And then my last one is a change for the schedule that the networks can make, and that is commercial-free races. Listen, this past year, Talladega, Daytona, and Atlanta for the NBC portion of the year had no full-screen commercials. This offered some great numbers. Just out today, the Talladega Fall race, this past week's race, had 3.127 million viewers, 25% up over last year, and the most watched Fall Talladega race since 2018. Daytona, Atlanta, and Talladega on average have been up 15% from the same weekend in 2023 year over year. Data has shown now, granted a small sample size, that no full screen commercials is a great answer. If you were to extrapolate the either 15% gain or 25% gain year over year, you would have the most watched NASCAR season since 2017. Almost a decade ago, if you look at it that way. I think you can start with just the bigger races. Crown jewels, or at least crown jewels for the partners. Fox, just do the super speedway races the same way that NBC did, Daytona 500 and Talladega. Prime, you do the Coke 600 in Mexico. TNT, do Atlanta, Chicago, and the Brickyard. And NBC would get 4 races of doing this, Daytona, Darlington, Talladega, and the finale next year. I think that this is the way forward, and the networks need to adapt. But those are just my takes. Now I want to know what changes you would want. So let me know down in the comments below. And while you're at it, leave a like in this video, share this video, and subscribe to this channel for more great and fun NASCAR content. Thank you so much to all my channel members for your continued support. And until next time, have a good one.